The event is a cocktail, and it's alpha 7, so you have an hour. So you consider a 45 minutes talk, and it should be fine. Because yeah, you have plenty of time. Since now one is here, I have an extra ticket for 5 ladies cocktail. Is anyone interested? Okay.
I get more.
Okay, who's faster?
Anyone else?
So, we actually begin the talk of Lynn about attracting more female developers with Python. She is an important member of PyLadies of San Francisco and works as software engineers in Red Hat. And well, here we are.
Thank you. So my name is Lynn Root. Is this loud? I don't know. Well, I'll talk softly. I wasn't the original person to give this talk. I don't know what happened, but she unfortunately backed out. But I've given a little intro to Python talks, especially for women. So I said, sure, why not? And I have 2 more talks. So this is the first of 3 this week. So bear with me. I'm not at all fully prepared as I usually am. So if you want to see me do my best, come to my talks tomorrow morning and Wednesday morning. Okay, so my name is Lynn Root. I do the PyLadies of San Francisco. I am Rogue Lynn on the interwebs, and if you ever want to bug me on email, that's fine, but email takes a while for me to respond to. Anyways, I am a software engineer at Red Hat. I do the PyLadies of San Francisco, and I am a board member of the Python Software Foundation. So we have about 45 minutes total, including questions and stuff, and I want to give you plenty of time for part 3, which is the PyLadies cocktail. So I want to do a quick intro to what PyLadies is, and then I think a lot of folks here are here for an intro to Python. Let's see, give me a poll. How new to Python are you folks here? Just brand new to Python, starting to learn how to code? Oh, wow. How maybe 0 to 2 years of Python? Yeah. How about 2+ years? Yeah. All right, so you're all experts, and maybe I need to cater this differently. Did you folks expect an intro to Python? Yeah. All right. Well, we'll do a little bit of data viz, and I'll just kind of go through it, and if you can keep the pace with me, that's fine. Otherwise, I'm here to talk. Everything is online, and you can do it yourself as well. So what PyLadies is, it's an international mentorship group for women and their friends. In the Python community, we don't discriminate just women only. We often do have women-only workshops just to create that safe environment. But we have a lot of women and friends and everyone welcome events sort of thing. And Python and also open source community as well, contribute to open source in general. And we are supported by sponsors that host us, donations, and the Python Software Foundation also helps us greatly. And so who PyLadies are for, developers are aspiring. You don't have to know Python to want to be a PyLady. You can be a PyLady and learn Python, which is actually kind of how I started, and I'll tell you that story. It could be a full-time or a hobby, or you could just be in love with Python. That's it. And so, as I mentioned before, we do workshops. We also do development sprints on languages or projects itself, like Django or Twisted, or we would like to do some core C Python sprints, but it's a little hard to get people interested in writing C or Python under the hood, so it's kind of difficult. Anyways, we also have speaker events, speaker series of both PyLadies, and invite people in, and so men also speak too, and it's quite awesome. And then my favorite are hack nights, where we just kind of for maybe about 3 or 4 hours in the evening, we just work on projects and it's quite social and quite laid back. And so I do the San Francisco one. This isn't the first one that started PyLays. PyLays actually started in LA and then branched out to like DC and then San Francisco. But we're also in Atlanta, Seattle, and Portland, San Diego, New York City, Nashville, Boston, and Austin, and more popping up. And then internationally, we're in Toronto and Montreal. Taiwan just started, Berlin just started, Brno, Vienna, Stockholm, Tunisia, and India. And notice that there's no like Italian one, so hint, hint, maybe we can get one here. So if maybe you were interested in starting a local PyLadies chapter, I would first like to tell you my story. I actually graduated with a business degree in finance and econ and worked in treasury and private banking for about 3 years or so. And I wanted to get my master's degree in financial engineering, which is like all this quantitative high-frequency trading and like algorithms and all that fun, sexy stuff. And in order to apply for the program, you have to have some understanding of programming in C or C++. And so I was like, hey, I can just take a course through like Harvard Online, and just take a semester. And I did that in the fall of 2011. And it was awful. C is hard. I don't know if you know, but it's kind of hard, especially when someone's learning how to code. And I failed both midterms and like final exams. And, as you do, struggling. And not like, you got a B+, it's okay. No, I literally got like, we're giving you a D because we're nice. So my final project, I actually did it in Python because I saw the Python language and I was like, I can breathe, I can read this, it kind of makes sense to me. So I did my final project in Django and I loved it. It got like an A- in the whole course because of it. So 3 a.m. was like awesome. Like that hour of debugging everything, it was just like, I've never felt so alive. So I was like, all right, this was awesome, but I don't want to pay another like $2,000 for another course. So I started a study group through a group called Women Who Code, which is in San Francisco, and like over like 2,000 women just in the Bay Area. And so I just hosted like 8 weeks of learning Python and just like mini projects, and we're learning together. And so I would teach myself the week before and then teach it to others, and that's basically how I learned. And then PyLadies of LA heard about my story and approached me to start PyLadies of San Francisco. And I was like, why isn't it here already? Of course. And so right now it's a little over a year old, PyLadies of San Francisco. We have over 900 members, which is amazing. And all those chapters are spreading up and popping up, and new ones. I think London is starting up too, so that should be awesome. And so then I started speaking about it, saying like, how do you get like women in Python and diversity and increasing diversity, and that's actually how I got my software engineering job at Red Hat. So if you're starting to learn how to code and you really like stick to it, then like you can actually get an engineering job, which is pretty awesome. So that's my story, and that's how PyLadies of San Francisco started and how it got sort of kind of big. And so kind of my ulterior motive here is to maybe find someone here to start a local PyLadies chapter. And if you're interested, you can come talk to me. I also, I have like PyLadies stickers for anyone that wants. They can come pick up. And everything that we have is GitHub/PyLadies. There's a PyLadies kit for starting your own like how-to, just like a documentation. And you can just hop on a free node on PyLadies and just like chill with us. You don't have to like actually be a member of PyLadies, but like the easygoing environment. So yeah, are there any questions about PyLadies and maybe how to start a local one or anything related to PyLadies? Yeah?
Question, how to reach to all the women that might be interested? Like if you have a chapter that you want to get more, we've tried to send email to mailing groups.
Yeah.
But how to get more? Maybe you have some experience with that.
Sure. Well,
Sorry, Ruth, please repeat the question
Sure.
because people outside cannot hear it.
I will repeat it. So she asked, how can you basically spread the word about PyLadies and get more women to join, other than like spamming email lists? And so emailing is great. That's I did that with my local Python user group mailing list. I mean, I also had the benefit of being in the Bay Area. So, but one big thing I did was I went to any related Python, Django, anything meetup, not just emailed the folks, but I actually went there and pushed myself up on the stage and said, hey, we're having our first event and everyone's welcome. So pretty much like that. And we also host workshops and events that like anyone's able to come. And so we make partners with sponsors, like companies, especially in the Bay Area. But then like if you say, hey, does anyone on your team want to come join us? And then they spread the word and stuff. So it's really about getting yourself out there and talking. And even if it's like 2 minutes saying, hey, here's more information. So that was really successful for us. Yeah, does that answer your question? Okay, good. Anyone else about PyLadies? You guys are shy. Okay. All right. So next is for the little intro to Python. Seems like you all are pretty adequate with Python. So this might be a little below your skill set, but come to my talk tomorrow morning at like 9:30 or 9:45, and I expand on this a lot more in general. So I made a site called newcoder.io, and it has 5 tutorials on it. The first one is data visualization, and it's basically you're working through Python, doing like little small projects, basically exactly what I did with Women Who Code when I was trying to learn Python. And I made them official online, and sorry, only 4, the actual tutorial language is written out. The 5th one, the code's there, it takes a long time to write the tutorial. So it'll get there, maybe the next month. But the first one is data visualization, and the other 4 are working with APIs. The third one is web scraping, which is a lot of fun with Scrapey. And the 4th one uses Twisted, the library Twisted, and making your own IRC bot. And the 5th, the last one, is making your own GUI with Sudoku. And so you make your own Sudoku game and you have fun and play. So the first one is data visualization, and with the next, I don't know, maybe half an hour or so, maybe a little bit less, I'm just going to go through doing the data viz tutorial. And you can stop me if it's too easy or ask questions whenever you want. I'm going to go fast. I don't expect you to do it with me, but everything, the slides from a former tutorial that I did are up here. And on the PDFs on like how to set up your own machine and how to go through each portion of the data viz tutorial, like as if you were working through the workshop in a big group rather than by yourself. One thing to note is, like this evening, I'm skipping one portion of the data viz only because it requires NumPy and Matplotlib, and it can be difficult, especially if you're on Windows, to install it. And it can take some time. So I'm just going to skip over it, but everything's up there if you're curious. Anyways, this little workshop plan there's going to be a little bit of introduction, and then setting up your machine. And then we're going to parse some data through a CSV file, and then we're going to plot this data that we parse on Google Maps. And it's a little cute, fun project. The part in between there is using Matplotlib to like graph, and I'll show it to you when we're all done. It's actually really cool, but so the project is the data that we're working with is crime numbers from San Francisco. So like you can see like the location and the type of crime that happened, like that the police report. So you're able to just get the CSV data and play with it yourself. And I don't know, it's kind of fun, kind of dorky. So I'll go over the goals of this project and like as well as the Python libraries that I use for this. So as I said, we're going to be parsing with data with a CSV file, and then we're going to just plot it on Google Maps. If we were going to go over through matplotlib, it would just be like, you'd be able to see which crime happens most on Monday or Tuesday, or what location is most popular for the crime in San Francisco, which we can see in the Google Maps as well. So the goals of this tutorial is to run and import a Python file, and to get an introduction to Python's data structures, and then just making simple maps. And so the libraries that we're using are actually all in the standard library, the CSV library and the XML library. And then we're just going to upload our, we make a file, we're going to upload it to Google Maps. So real quickly, I'm sure as Python developers, you pretty much all have this set up, Python Git. And it's Python 2.7. Python 2.6 would work too, but I'm not ready for 3.3 because Matplotlib and NumPy are not ready for 3.3, so we'll get there. And then pip and virtualenv and a virtualenv wrapper is a highly suggested tool if you're not familiar with it already, and a text editor. And again, on the new coder site, I detail like why we need everything and why these things are important. I'm just going to breeze over it. So first, part 0 is the setup. So when you start the project, you want to make your own project directory. To clone the repo, did you guys want to see and see the code, like the actual repository and stuff right now, or you just want me to continue? Continue? See the code? Okay, continue. Okay, and then install dependencies, which are none because we're not using Matplotlib or NumPy. And I'm kind of breezing over this, but are there any questions so far? No? You guys are awesome. All right, so part 1 is we're going to be parsing our sample data. And part 1 includes like a module setup, what we need to import, kind of like attacking and like laying out our parsing functions through scaffolding. I teach it by making comments first and like what you want to return, and then coding it out. And then how to use the parse function, and then putting it into action. And I don't know if I have explore it further time, so we'll just skip over that. I spelled that wrong. It's supposed to be constants. I really apologize. So we have imports for the module setup. That we're importing CSV. And then I'll just show you the code if you want to see. So, okay. Oh, this is really hard. Oh crap. Oh shoot. Live demos never work, so take it from me. I'm just going to close this real quick. And reload it. Come on. So I was just going to show you the code and what I'm talking about. Okay, data viz. We'll do, here's a parse function. Okay. So, and throughout the new coder tutorial, I do like little side notes. One of them is, licensing and what open source means. And so here we're starting with import CSV because we're going to take advantage of the CSV file, or CSV library. We have a constant here. This might not be the best way to refer to a file, but since this is like the very first tutorial, we're just going to hard code our CSV file in here. So this is a sample data. And so when you work through this, maybe you're teaching this to someone else, I basically go through, we're defining a parse function, and we're saying we want to take the raw file, like the CSV file, and because the CSV files might be not comma delimited, we also need that parameter. And so here's our doc strings. I teach good habits and say you want to document all. You want to put like something like a doc string with the majority of your functions and classes. And then also talk about the difference between docstrings and comments, because comments is more for the coder reading your code, and the docstrings is someone who's just looking for documentation on what the function does. And so first we open our file with the standard keyword, and then we read the file with the CSV reader, and see we pass in the raw file from here, and then pass an open file from here with our delimiter. And then we're setting up our parse data with an empty list first. And so the very first line of the CSV data is the fields, like the headers, like this is this is the location, this is the type of crime and whatnot. And we're just titling that field. So that this is, I guess, just the very first row. And so then we're going to iterate over each row. Another comment here. So for row in our CSV data, this is a little bit complex maybe for the beginner. So we're going to append to our list, zipping our fields to each row and making it a dictionary. So basically we're making a huge list of dicks. And then because we're good at our file I/O, we have to close the file. And then we're returning parse data, which is the list that we create or appended. So it's a very simple parse function. And then I also go over why we need a main function in the tutorial, and then basically calling our parse and then printing it so you can actually see it in the terminal. So if I were to, I can show you real quickly. Hold on one second. Thank you for being so patient. Okay. So I have, so I'm going to run my Python parse.py file, and because I'm not in the right directory. CD. Yes, okay. So here, it's taking our, the CSV file that I hard-coded in, and then it's really fun for new coders to actually see this parse onto the standard output. So this is what the data looks like. Let's see. Here's where one dictionary start. We have a category of a missing person, and the incident number, day of the week, and the description, and the X and Y, which is the longitude and latitude, which we will take advantage of for plotting on Google Maps. Does that kind of make sense? I kind of went over that fast. Any questions on the parse function? Maybe how to teach it or learning it yourself? No? It's kind of simple. All right. So the next one, the mapping. I'm not going to go back to the presentation. I'm just going to kind of go over this. So another standard library we're going to use is the XML library, because we're going to create a KML file. A KML is a subset of an XML file that Google can read and understands as a map file. And then we're importing our parse function. And then we actually have two helper functions, and then our main function that actually creates the map, and we have our main function down here to call the create map. So our helper function, I'm going to go over this real quickly again. This creates a KML document. And so rather than, this is kind of maybe confusing, but basically what it does is initializes a document, an XML document, defines it as a KML, and gets attributes from this website that will define a KML file for us. And then we basically give it a document, an element as document, and then title and description, and we return the doc. It's a lot of, I'm sure this could be cleaned up a lot better and more Pythonic, but again, this is just intro, and we kind of want to lay it all out for new folks. The next helper function is to create a place mark within the KML file. So we have multiple place marks for one file. And place mark is basically just longitude and latitude of our where our crime happens, and we have a title, description, and whatnot. So then we create a document, and then for every placemark. We basically call it a placemark and then create an element of name and description and point and coordinates. And we basically grab the data that we feed in through here, which is just from address. I know, again, it's a lot and quite confusing, but if you go in line by line, it kind of makes sense after a while, maybe if you stare at it for like half an hour. And so our third function is we're taking our data file and we're creating a Google Map KML document. And so we refer to our first helper function, create document, and we're calling it crime map, and it plots the San Francisco like recent crime. And then we're just grabbing here document, and you can't really see because you get like I guess a list of documents, and we just want one. So the first one. And then so for line, the data file that we feed in, we're making a dictionary of placemark info, longitude, latitude, name, description, and date of the crime. And then so this is just cleans up our like mistakes. If there's longitude happens to be 0, it's gonna like plot on the equator until we mess up our Google Maps. So we don't want like null or messed up data. So we're just kind of skipping over anything that has 0. And you could do latitude here too, but I just decided to do longitude. And then so one placemark, we'll call placemark function with our placemark info, and then attach it to the document. So and it'll go over through each item of like the crime, or each like data point. And then, so after it goes through all those points, it will create a KML file. I just titled it this. So with open, our file sf.kml, we're writing to it as f. This is sort of a subtle way. First we, in the parse function, we open and then we explicitly closed the file. Now we're doing a slightly different way. So when you do with open as file, it'll automatically close the file. So it's like another subtle way that we're kind of leveling up the new coders. So then we're going to write our KML document with two pretty XML. I just Googled like what this should be, so it's not like you should know this, the indent and encoding. Well, I mean UTF-8 of course. And so this will save the file sf.kml, and then so when you run it, it will take, we imported our parse function, and then we'll parse our file that's in our parse function, and then we are just returning our Google Map data. And then so if we were to run that, oops, let's see, whoa, oh, sorry. Map.py. So you'll notice, well, I just basically rewrote it over. So here's our file.sf. If we were to open it, it'll look like a really ugly KML document that you never want to read yourself. So you can notice that like a title, this is the title that we gave it, and the description. And for each place mark, we have the name, description with the title, and the type, and the coordinates. And so that happens for every piece of data that we have. So now, I don't have internet, but I could start it. Basically, you would go into Google Maps, and then you'd be like, create your own map, and you can upload this KML file, and see for yourself what like your own Google Maps. So I'm going to see if internet works. Maps. Seriously, never do live demos. All right. So at Google Maps, my places, create map, and then import right here. Let's see. Boom. You choose file. Data is. Upload from file. All right. Well, that was unsuccessful. Well, there's one point. It works in Parse, I swear. Maybe I uploaded the wrong file, but you would see many points of like fraud. You can see the title that we inputted, and it'll pick up the description, and it'll know exactly where to point it. So that is what we do with the parse, and we're plotting out in Google Maps. And these two intro tutorials are very awesome because you don't need to download separate third-party libraries. You can take advantage of the Python standard library. And it's actually you finish with something quick and something tangible, and it's really encouraging for folks starting to learn how to code. We have a couple more minutes. Do you guys want to see real quickly what the matplotlib shows? Little graphs? Yes? No? Okay. You guys are humoring me. I appreciate that. Python graph. Let's see. Here we go. So here's one of them. This takes our parse function and graphs it with, this is one of the two functions that we go over. This is crime over the days of the week. And you can see that Tuesday has the most reported crimes, over 100 entries. So maybe you'll stay home Tuesday in San Francisco. And Friday, for some odd reason, is very safe in San Francisco. So, so that's one of the graphs that we do. And then another one is the type of crime. You can see that warrants is the most, and vehicle theft as well, and then maybe some drug and narcotics and larceny. And so the second part of the tutorial basically works through playing with matplotlib and plotting with pyplot. And that's pretty much it for the visualization part. And this is also cool because you can see it on your computer, it launches, and you're like, wow, I just made that. So very encouraging for new coders. That's pretty much it for the little tutorial that I have. Again, everything is on newcoder.io with the other tutorials that I have. Tomorrow morning I'll be presenting on the other tutorials about what exactly they are, what the goals are, and and my opinion on how we should be learning how to code. So I encourage you folks to attend and maybe adapt this to teach your own friends or learn by yourself. But yeah, so we basically had some fun with Python, and I hope you enjoyed my hackneyed talk today, since I just figured out that I was doing it 2 days ago. So thank you. Are there any questions? Anyone?
So what folks, do you with PyLadies go to high schools to try to get more women into computer science before
college? Yeah. Well, it's a really good idea. We don't, partly because it's just a meetup group, and we're kind of we're trying to get more women in general, and tapping into the to the industry already. There's a lot going on with Stanford, and they're doing this C++ thing, and it's a conference, and they invite high schoolers and people in college already, and encourage women to stick to computer science. So they're actively reaching out to the high schools. I know that at PyCon we did a young coders tutorial between 12, 13-year-olds and 18-year-olds. And I think it was pretty evenly distributed, both boys and girls. And so that is actually taking off into like a packaged like education tool. So while PyLadies is not doing anything specifically, Python as a community is definitely reaching out.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone other?
Does anyone want PyLadies stickers? If you do, just come up here and grab some. Oh, pens, yeah. Does everyone have PyLadies cocktail? One last question. Cocktail stick like things, like tickets. Anyone want one? I have plenty. All right. Well, the cocktail I think is in like what 25 minutes or so, 20 minutes. And it's on the
I want to recall everyone, the cocktail will begin in 25 minutes at 7:30, and it shall be in the 6th floor. The best way to reach it is using the lift in front of the reception. Just pick a lift and go to the 6th floor, or use the stairs just nearby. And I want to also remember this evening there shall be the Pie beer, and everyone is invited in the pub just over the bridge.
Oh, and one final thing, Google is so awesome that they gave us bags for the women in attendance. So on your way out, just grab a bag and sport it and be awesome. So if you see Google folks, I guess say thank you. All right. Well, thanks again.